Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. First thing you are going to want to do when you start your company, tons of fun stuff. First, you're going to want to get your EIN set up. Now, I know that sounds pretty elementary for everybody, and I'm not really sure where you are right now in your business setup, but that's number one. Number one, you want to set up your EIN. You're going to want to do that with the federal government. Now, when you go on there, you're going to see tons of websites that say, hey, come in here and we'll set it up for you for $75 and $50 and $100 and $150. It's complete crap. Just make sure that when you set that up, you're going directly to the website for the federal government to set that up, and that's going to solve your problems because it's free. And so if you are paying for an EIN, you did something wrong. You did it through a company that looked like a government. It wasn't. I'll get into that later. Okay. So after you've set up your EIN, so you've got your number. Now, very important when this happens, you have the opportunity to either have it emailed to you or have it mailed. There is no wrong way to go about that, but however you go about it, make sure that you don't lose that copy, because that's the only copy you are going to get, and it is super, super important. I cannot tell you enough how important it is to have a separate file in your computer that is saved into a OneDrive. That way, if anything happens to any of your files, nothing is saved in paper, so you can't lose it, and nothing is saved on a computer itself without a cloud application, OneDrive, Google Cloud, iCloud, however you want to go about it, keeping all of your stuff in the same place, organized, is going to save your life should something happen to anything, your home, your computer, tornadoes, God forbid. All right, so then after that, you are going to want to set up your meeting with your attorney. Now, some of you can skip the attorney part if you so feel the need. How serious are you trying to take your business? Well, that is entirely up to you, but my suggestion, as someone who has been there and has done it, there are a few things that you want to outsource, and legal and accounting is one of them. You always, always, always want to understand that we are the beacons of our industry in housekeeping, in commercial cleaning, window cleaning. We are not experts in law or accounting, so don't try to be one. Save yourself the trouble. Go visit an attorney. Now, with the attorney, you want an articles of organization. This is completely different from an articles of incorporation or something like that. That is for S Corp, C Corps. I guarantee you are not on that level. So articles of organization. Now, if you, again, decide to be a Google warrior and go out there and do the whole, I think I will try to do this myself, you're going to find some legal Zooms and some legal docs and things like that. And you can sign up for that free trial, and you can just insert your name here and however you want to go about it. And when that happens, more power to you. But keep this in mind. You get what you pay for, and what you're paying for is legal jargon that is going to make no sense if you ever come to use it in any kind of future disagreements, anything like that. So your articles of organization, any kind of partnership agreements, I do not suggest ever going into partnerships. If you own a business, own a business. Don't own it with anybody else. But if again, if you plan on going that direction, you want to get a lawyer. Now, I know that sounds scary for a lot of you guys. Oh no, I don't want to, pay a retainer and pay this. If I'd have known now what I knew then, you are really not paying that much for legal. To have a lawyer draft in articles of organization for you, it costs like $300. So when you're thinking about that in terms of how much you're going to gross over the course of that year, and it's completely tax deductible. Think about it that way. In the end, I mean, you're basically getting it for free, and you're covering your rear end. So that is my suggestion to you. You can go either way with it. That is completely up to you, but If you're wanting to go about it the right way, if you're trying to build hard, strong blocks, that's the way to go about it. So just to recap, you want to get that EIN, and then after that, you want to go ahead and speak with that lawyer about those articles of organization. Again, you can feel free to go over it with legal Zoom free trials, but it's not my suggestion. Next, you are going to want to take that articles of organization, and you're going to want to register that with the state. Now, I'm not entirely sure. My attorney did not register that with the state. I did. Either way it goes about, and there's a couple of things that you want to check with your state when you do that. Now, you'll notice I said articles of organization, not DBA. Not DBA. I don't care if you are the only person who will be running your company. You know that, you're aware of it, and you're going to stick to that. So I'm just going to go a sole proprietor. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's bad. It's a bad decision. It's just bad all around. So just skip that phase right there. I promise you, any fees that you are going to come across starting an LLC are nominal at best. The highest price I've seen in some states has been up to $500, and even then, it's still worth your while. I live in the state of Indiana, and in Indiana, it cost me a total of $50. So that's, again, it is worth your while because it covers your rear end. You get a sole proprietorship. You have nothing protecting your personal assets if something were to happen. So DBA, that's for sole proprietors only. You do not need a DBA if you go LLC direction. You want to go LLC direction, skip the DBA. All right. So Secretary of State, you also need to make sure, and I cannot stress to this to enough people, your service, which is essentially what we do a service. Now, your service could also be seen as a product, depending on what state that you live in. Now, a service, generally, is not something that we collect sales tax on. However, if your service is considered a product in your state, housekeeping, janitorial services, anything like that, sales tax is applicable. So that is an entirely different animal, and that is something that you also need to be speaking with that attorney that you visit, and with whoever you need to speak with at your local and state levels to determine whether or not that applies to you. You do not want to find that out 3 years into your company. That's not fun. So that's always something to watch out for in the state of Indiana. It is not considered that way, so I've never had to worry about that, but I have seen people who have. So always keep that in. Okay, so at this point, you've got your EIN, you've already registered with the government, you have registered with the state. Now, your very next thing is going and getting banking. So you're going to take that EIN and you're going to go straight to the bank. Now, I have always advised people the PNC direction. I don't know particularly if they are just as common in other portions of the country as they are in the Midwest, mid-country, wherever it is that I'm technically located in. So they're pretty business friendly. Chase, generally, you have to be a little bit bigger for them to be as friendly on it. You can always try credit unions. If you're a part of one, if you have a family member that's a part of one, they always have really great options for theirs. So PNC, credit unions, things of that nature, really any bank that you go to, basically what they're going to want is that EIN, which you have to have, along with various other paperwork that you should already have in place, just because you are a U.S. citizen, provided that you are. And at that point, you need to have a bank account that has your business name on it. Now, that is so important. Never, ever do any kind of business in your personal bank account. That is, you are setting yourself up for all kinds of fun and all kinds of problems, and it may sound like a really good idea at first when you first start out, but when you're building, and if your goal in the future is to build, essentially what you need to do is set up the foundations to make that possible for you. So business banking account. What you're building to, however, when you get your business bank account, of course, you're going to get your business debit card. You are building toward a credit card. Now, a credit card for your business is always a better way to go. Your business needs to be essentially its own separate entity, and the cashback rewards, you would be surprised how fast they build up. Your cashback rewards in an industry that has such low material cost as housekeeping will literally pay for your materials. So if you think about that for a moment, I mean, there is absolutely no reason why you would want to use a business debit card to do your daily expenses with when it comes to that. And there are so many daily expenses, which brings me to the next point. The next thing you're going to want to do is visit with your accountant. So if you remember earlier, I said we do not do our own legal and we do not do our own accounting. So accountants, they are not nearly as expensive as you think they are. I promise you they are not. So basically what you want to do is you want to go up to them and you want to say, hey, this is a business that I have started and I would like to set up an accounting program that I can manage. At this point, I don't figure that you're probably that large. There is no reason to hold an accountant on retainer or anything of that nature. You just need to basically have an accountant set up a program. I suggest QuickBooks. QuickBooks is what I've used. I've owned 3 companies now. QuickBooks has always been as a self-employment tool. I think the last time I checked, it was $12.99 a month or something ridiculous like that. It even saves you, of course, more money if you get something that's on a year trial rather than a monthly. But a QuickBooks account set up by an accountant. Now, are you able to set up your own QuickBooks account? Sure. Sure you are. You absolutely are. But do I suggest that? No. Why? Because we're not accounting professionals. We are not QuickBooks experts. We're housekeepers. Or we are business owners that simply want to own a business in housekeeping. Either way it goes, unless you have an accounting degree, you don't really need to be setting up your own QuickBooks. And believe it or not, that is actually not an uncommon question for accountants to, or CPAs, or whoever you decide to choose to get. It's a common question. They're used to doing it, and it actually works out better for them because if they have set up your QuickBooks correctly and they have attached it to your bank accounts and your business credit cards, it is so much easier for them come your taxes, whether or not you're doing it once a year, you're doing it quarterly or what have you, for them to decide how much that needs to be. Why? Because there's no mistakes there. Because somebody who didn't know what they were doing is not the person that set it up. They set it up so they can easily get back into it. So that's extremely important. So at this point, you've set up your bank account, you've now talked to the accountant, now you are set up. The accountant has showed you how to use your stuff, you're ready to go. So after using that, now you want to go into building your business. Have you started off correctly? Yes. Do you now have a strong foundation? Yes. Now you can worry about building your business. So at this point, and we're about halfway in, building your business. There are multiple ways to go about this, and it just kind of depends on where you want to go. You can go housekeeping, you can go commercial, you can go window cleaning only, carpet cleaning, it doesn't really matter. But my suggestion to you is no matter which way you go, you need to stick with it. You need to stick to that one thing. I've seen plenty of people go out there and they're like, I want to do residential and commercial, or I want to do residential and carpet cleaning. You need to be the master of your industry. You don't need to be jack of all trades, master of none. Pick something, stick to it. If you choose not to do that, it's more power to you. But again, this is just from my experience, from what I've seen from mine, from other people's cleaning companies. That's the way you want to go. Pick it, stick to it. Now you need to go around your area and see how many people live in your area if you're doing residential? How many businesses live or are working in your area if you're commercial? You need to gauge how many customers you're looking at because you need to focus on a small area. So let's just say that you live in an area that has a very low volume of people. What's the closest place that has more people? Are you on the suburbs? Are you in a giant city? Are you 20 minutes from a giant city? I always suggest pick the city that's largest within a reasonable location to you. You do not necessarily have to do business in the same city that you live in. And that is just because the more options that you have to be able to market to these people, the better off that you will be. Your service range in this stage of your business needs to be tiny. You need to be focused on hard marketing to a very small circle. And that is because people need to see your name. And this is just a marketing foundation. People need to be able to see your name more than one time for them to even think about calling you. So if I see you market in my neighborhood, okay, if I see the flyer on my door, God forbid, if I see that, well, that's one thing. Am I going to call you? Probably not. Probably not. But if I see your flyer on my door and then I see your sign 2 blocks away, the chances of me calling you for housekeeping services just went up significantly because now you're no longer an unknown entity. You're a local entity. Okay. Now that you are a familiar site for me. Okay. And that's what's really going to get your business coming in. And that's what you need. The beginnings of this is the hardest part because you are in a referrals industry. If you are in residential, particularly, you are in a referrals industry. Now, if you are residential, that's even more important. And that is because you need to be focused on those large subdivisions because one house turns into 4 houses, turns into 8 houses, turns into 10 houses. All of these subdivisions, thank God for social media, because now we are looking at, these homeowners associations that start their own Facebook groups, or their neighborhood.com is also a really common one. You get 4 houses in this neighborhood and you might as well have 20. You don't even have to pay for marketing or figure out marketing. They are blowing down your door. And that's just because good housekeeping is hard to find. It really is. And it's a matter of sometimes, and probably the biggest reason why people see so much turnover from a client standpoint for us. They see housekeepers grow, which is really easy to do because, again, you have to think there's more clients than there are housekeepers. And there will always be a need for housekeeping. Our company survived a global pandemic because in the end, it doesn't matter. Things will always get dirty. People will always need to be there to clean, and right now they don't have machinery to replace us. So that's the gist of that. But again, when you are in a neighborhood, you need to be hitting the same neighborhood hard because basically it only takes 3 or 4 houses, and if you do good on those, again, referral industry, you might as well have 10, 20. You don't have to worry about your marketing anymore. You've got this. Now, if you are in commercial, it gets a little more complicated. I'm not going to lie. This is going to be a lot more up close and personal. So with commercial, it is completely different from residential. Commercial is a numbers game, plain and simple. Do they care about the quality of clean? No. Surprisingly enough, or maybe not even surprisingly, because of course, again, it's corporate. They don't care about the quality of the clean. They care about the numbers game. There was a poll that went out to corporate entities, and it was, how do you feel about your housekeeping? only 50% of those companies were satisfied with the housekeeping that they currently have. And if you worked in an office, you already know, we've already seen it. I mean, that's the low, it's the bottom of the barrel, it's the bare minimum. Do they do a good job? No. No, they don't. But why? Why are they still hired? Because it's a numbers game. They are by far the cheapest. So your big struggle in commercial cleaning is figuring out your competition's pricing. There are many ways to go about that, and some are more shisty than others. I suggest taking the high road and sticking to the pricing that you have in place, and then playing your own numbers game. So these are my prices. Okay, this is what I have in place right now. I am going to go down the yellow book, if that's even a thing anymore, and I'm going to go to all of these places in person between the hours of 1:45 to 3:15. That is the golden number, 1:45 to 3:15 p.m., where people are bored. And I'm going to take a treat. That way I have not wasted their time. They get a little something out of it and a smile on my face, and I am going to explain to them why they need to accept these prices. Now, is this going to work for you? Yes, it will, but will it work the first time? That's hard to say. How many places are you able to visit in an hour and a half? When you are doing grassroots marketing, as opposed to like large flyers, things of that, just building your company from little to no startup money, door to door, I cannot tell you how effective it is. It is, but it is a numbers game. So that is my suggestion if you are starting from nilch. Now, if you are able to, however, there are other options, and it's bulk mail orders, things of that nature. Do I find them useful for commercial? Not really. They are more useful for residential. And I never suggest that you do those coupon books. So a lot of times you'll get like an advertisement, it'll come in the mail as junk mail, which is exactly what it is. And it will be like multiple coupons from businesses. That is actually pretty affordable, and you will get marketed on that as a small business owner a lot. You're going to get those phone calls a lot. And it may seem like a really good idea, but I'm going to tell you what happens to most of those. They get thrown in the trash can without even being opened. Don't waste your time. If you're going to do bulk mail marketing, do it straight through the post office. You can do it straight through USPS, and you can have your flyers made right there online. Do it through them. It's by far the cheaper way to go, and it's the smartest for you if you are trying to market. Again, if you're starting out, you're marketing in a small area that's full of people. That's what you need to be focusing on. So then past that, that's just the basics on the marketing. Again, if you have a little more money to spend, I've seen people do, of course, the bulk mail order and stuff like that. I've even seen people do send out like cookie trays to real estate offices, insurance agencies. I've seen dogs. Real estate offices and insurance agencies are going to be your big hitters. Generally, these are owned by small entities. One person, maybe two people own these, and so they have the ability to make these decisions. Now, when you are marketing to commercial, watch out for national brands that are not owned by singular people. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about, I'll give you an example. So I had a customer that marketed hard to dental offices, and that's great. If you want to go into and focus on medical offices and things of that nature, you have the ability to really grow off that. But if you are marketing to Dr. Jones, your chances are going to be a lot better than marketing to Immediate Care, for example. Immediate Care has 15 offices in your area, which is fantastic, but they are also a part of a 750 office network that is owned by a corporate entity. And trying to get those corporate accounts as such a small business, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you are smaller and you are trying to start from, again, start from the beginning, you're going to want to go to these locally owned companies. So Dr. Brown, Dr. Jones down here, this and that. When they are a part of a larger corporate structure, you're not in that boat to be able to grab those at the moment. Absolutely make that a goal, make that something for the future, just one day for you. And then we are hitting that 5 minutes till mark, so I will leave you with this outsourcing. Again, I cannot tell you how important it is to outsource. This is for everything. Your legal, don't do your own legal. Your accounting, don't do your own accounting. Your taxes go into accounting, absolutely for no reason should you ever be doing your own taxes. And one of the big things to ask your accountant is, what exactly can you get away with deducting on your taxes? Because you would be surprised what you are actually able to deduct on there. I mean, we are talking anything from your lunches every day. If you go out to dinner with your family, one thing I always do, can you say my business name just real quick? Can you just say it out loud? Okay, great. And then I write it down. That's officially a business dinner. It's really not that hard, and it's not cheating. It's literally playing the same game that everybody upstairs plays. So that's always something to keep in mind. You would be so surprised what you can count as a deduction. So that is one of the things that you absolutely need to be asking that accountant whenever they are setting up that QuickBooks account for you, and then you're taking from there. And the reason why I say that's so important right before we head off here is that these programs, QuickBooks, for instance, is what I'm most familiar with. These are going to take those things that you have spent off of your debit card, off of your credit card, and it will automatically send those in its own categories. So at that point, you're not at the end of the year figuring out, okay, so what did I spend in meals? Okay, so what did I get in profit? Okay, no, it's doing all of this for you, and so it's going to save you all of that time at the end, and it's going to make your accountant not hate you, which is also very important. It's going to save you in taxes, it's going to save you in time, it's going to save your accountant. So with that said, it is 6:27, so I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Guys, I am always available through Messenger. I do have, of course, the blog, the group, everything else. Feel free to come take a look at it at any point. If you guys have any questions, I just sit here and work online, so I am always here. I'm always available. You can always feel free to reach out to me. I was always try to help you the best way I can.